America faces serious challenges. Our debt is exploding. The very economic foundation of our nation is at risk. Washington's addicted to spending. This addiction threatens future generations. More taxes, more spending means more government control. Families having to give more and more money to the federal government means less freedom, plain and simple. Too many Americans are on welfare. Too many Americans are dependent on government-sponsored health care. Too many Americans give up time with their kids in order to hold down 2 jobs just to pay the bills. For too many in this country, it's just not working. Too many moms and dads have had to come home, walk into the kitchen and deliver the news to the family that they no longer have a job. The bills are stacking up, hopes diminish. Often, they've got to tear their kids from their friends and their schools and their neighborhoods in order to move just so they can find some work. We've got to help these families. And the way to do that is not by more government. The way to do that is with our policies, rooted in the conservative principles of limited government and freedom. Let's face it, the opposition is organized, but they have very different ideas on how to help these families and truly how to affect the future of our country. President Obama and his allies believe that the best solutions to our ills is cradle-to-grave government support. But we know that our freedom is God-given and it should never, ever be taken away.
We belong to one country, but we also belong to thousands of communities, each of them rich in tradition. And these communities, they don't obstruct our personal growth. They encourage it. They are where we live our lives. So the duty of government isn't to displace these communities, but to support them. It isn't to blunt their differences or to flatten their character or to mash them together into some dull conformity. It is to secure our individual rights and to protect that diversity. That is the duty of government. Our vision, our budget, makes room for these communities to grow so that the people in them have room to thrive. We can't just talk about these communities. We have to talk with them. We have to engage them. Because leaders don't just speak up, they listen too. And if we listen more closely to the people, we will find that the answers to our problems lie a whole lot closer to home, a whole lot closer than Washington, D.C. Let me tell you a story. Last month, I went to Milwaukee. I met a guy named Leroy Macklin. When Leroy was 14 years old, he was convicted of a felony and abandoned by his family. Now he's 27. He's got a job at this incredible organization called Milwaukee Working. It's a nonprofit in the inner city started by a suburban church that sells donated goods on Amazons. No government agency built this company. No law forced these people to help each other. They came together on their own. They saw a need and they met that need. Look at the results in this one life. Today, Leroy turned his life around. He's providing for his sons, and he's an example for us all. You see, work gives people more than a paycheck. It gives them a sense of purpose, a sense of pride. It makes them a part of their community.
Liberals dividing this country up into little groups, setting them upon each other, breeding spite and envy, and then having the nerve to say and accuse conservatives of hatred. It's sad, and it's said that in Washington, D.C., it's 60 miles surrounded by reality. And out in the real world, I see conservatives giving to more charity than liberals, even though their paychecks may be smaller. In the real world, I see conservatives volunteering at adoption agencies, at churches, at bake sales, and the local American Legion Post, while the only charity of progressive sins is a smug sermon on fair share and what fairness is. I'm a conservative because I believe in peace, real peace, and not peace of mind. I'm a conservative because I believe and understand that real peace comes from the Marine Corps, not the Peace Corps. Like you, I consider myself part of a unique generation of Americans, a new generation that must continue the tradition of principled conservative leadership once embodied by conservative titans. Ronald Reagan, Barry Goldwater, Bill Buckley, Milton Friedman, Jack Kemp, Jeane Kirkpatrick, Paul Weyrich, Robert Bork, all have passed their responsibilities on to us. And this proud tradition of conservative leadership, a fellowship that includes each of you, holds one principle above all others: fidelity to the letter of the spirit of our nation's two founding documents, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence.
People are hurting right now. We are in the midst of what I call the Great Stagnation. President Obama is one of only two presidents post-World War II to face double-digit unemployment. And for the last 4 years, economic growth under President Barack Obama has averaged 0.8%, less than 1%. There is only one other period, post-1950, where we've had 4 years of less than 1% economic growth. That's from 1979 to 1983. Coming out of Jimmy Carter, following the same policies of out-of-control spending, out-of-control debt, out-of-control taxes, out-of-control regulation, that's the only other period. President Reagan came in facing that stagnation, and he implemented policies the exact opposite of Barack Obama's. In fact, it's interesting, 79 to 83, economic growth was 0.8%. Today, it's 0.8% for the exact same period. Because Obama didn't learn the lesson from Reagan that if you want to turn the economy around, you cut taxes, you reduce spending, you reduce the debt, and you don't send regulators like locusts to destroy small businesses and jobs. Do you know, if President Obama had followed the Reagan policies and we had seen the identical growth that President Reagan saw, inheriting the same lousy economy Barack Obama did, do you know that today we would have 7 million additional new jobs in America? Let me help make that a little more concrete. 7 million new jobs is the equivalent of giving a job to every man, woman, and child in Chicago, Houston, Philadelphia, and Boston. That's what we're talking about.
All of Obama's hard work and wrangling over the budget, he's managed to cut the growth of federal spending by 2%. 2%. Congratulations, Mr. President. Even that was imposed on him by the sequester. And Roger Ailes calls Obama lazy. Did you see that? A new biography of Roger Ailes quotes him as saying that Obama is lazy. Van Jones said that was racist, but Obama himself said he was lazy. You know why Van Jones didn't know that? Because he's lazy. I'm just kidding. I love Van Jones. I do. Liberals say the word lazy is a racist code word, as is Chicago, the word apartment, mentioning that Obama golfs. No, these are all, according to liberals, racist dog whistles, which may be why only Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Rachel Maddow, and Chris Matthews can hear them. But you know,
socialism started as a reaction to America. because people in Europe, they looked at us and they said, wait a minute, look at those Americans. You got people like Ford and Kellogg and Vanderbilt, Rockefeller, Carnegie Mellon. They got so much money. And look at everybody else who's got nothing. And you can't run a system like that. You have to have an overarching government that receives the funds and redistributes it in a fair and equitable way. Have you ever heard that before? Well, what they didn't realize is that all those names that I just said, instead of like the land barons of Europe hoarding money and passing it down from generation to generation, instead they built the infrastructure of this nation. They put in the transcontinental railroad. They built factories and textile mills. They built the mechanism that created the most powerful and dynamic middle class the world has ever seen, which rapidly took us to the pinnacle. They built universities and museums and charitable organizations, because that has been the nature of Americans. We have always been generous. Nobody is starving on the streets. We've always taken care of them. We have churches, which actually are a much better mechanism for taking care of the poor, because they're right there with them. This is one of the reasons that we give tax deductions to churches, because they do that. So why is the government trying to duplicate what they're supposed to be doing? You know, we need to start thinking smartly about the way that we use our resources, use our money. And, you know, in 2009, 40 of the wealthiest families in America pledged to give away half of their wealth to charity. Go someplace else in the world and ask the 40th wealthiest families to give away half their wealth. They'll look at you like you got 6 heads. This is an American phenomenon. We take care of our own. We always have. It is not the government's responsibility. It is our responsibility as citizens.